It is officially time to give you a fleet update. We got a lot of new subscribers, so I want to give you all a full rundown of all the cars we have on our fleet and where we may be headed next. So without further ado, let's get into the video. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. Those of you that don't know me, my name is Joe. I run a rental car business here in Jacksonville, Florida. We are currently at 11 vehicles and counting. So I wanted to take an opportunity for those of you that have subscribed to the channel, and thank you so much for committing to our channel and watching a little bit more about us as a business. But I wanted to be able to take a moment and just kind of go through the entire fleet and let you know where we stand as a business and what the future holds for us down the road. Last time I did this, it was quite a while ago. I think we only had maybe about 7 or 8 cars. We're now up to 11. We were at one point at 12, but we'll go through the full rundown of everything so you can get an idea of where we're at as a business. So without further ado, let's get into it. So our first vehicle that I'm going to cover all of our personal cars first because it really doesn't bear much on the business. But counting our personal vehicles, we are currently at 13 cars. That is unimaginable. I could not believe that we're at 13, but that is currently where we stand. And my wife still has her Avalon. There's actually quite a few views on the video that we did about the roaches that we cleaned out of her car. I'm proud to say over a year later, that car no longer has any roaches, but I'm gonna leave a link to that video here so that you can click on it and check out what we did inside that car. We tore the full interior out, we put everything back together, and it is basically on the road with no bugs whatsoever. The second car that is part of our personal cars is my 2019 Toyota 4Runner, and that car currently is not going anywhere. I do occasionally use that car to go back and forth to the airport. I try not to. For obvious reasons, that car is not very economical on gas, and so we try to limit driving that car if we can. If we have another vehicle, that's the more preferred one over the 4Runner. Next, we have our 2018 Chrysler Pacifica. As of this video, it is at 109 trips, and that car has been, for the most part, a hit. It has done very well on the platform. We do have a lot of planners, a lot of travelers, a lot of people that want to take that car maybe across the state or across the country if there's somebody local that's picking the car up. So that car generally does well, aside from maybe like January and like September. Those are really only the 2 months of the year that that car doesn't do that great. And maintenance wise, that car has been just fine. The only downside that we've run into with that car is it does have 2 batteries. It has a large battery and it has a smaller auxiliary battery, and the auxiliary battery seems to want to go bad all the time. We've also replaced the large battery since we've had the car. Those 2 charging systems kind of go hand in hand with each other, and so when one starts to fail, it starts to suck the charge from the other one, and then you have to replace one or both. So I have already replaced the large battery in that car, and we just replaced the auxiliary battery under warranty. It basically, when that one goes bad, the auto start stop system begins to fail, and it gives you an error message on the dashboard. It'll say auto start stop needs to be serviced, and so we have to go and replace that battery. Other than that, we've also replaced the brakes, we've replaced the tires on the car, and that thing is basically still running like a top, does really well. As of this video, it's probably at around 115 or 116,000 miles, and does not show any signs of slowing down as we speak. Next is the car that started it all. Now, I did the video on this covering its 100th trip. That is the 2020 Dodge Journey. I covered what happened to it in the last video when we did our fleet update. That car has been in an accident. It was rear-ended. That was back in November of 2022. So ever since then, the car has ran very well. We've done regular maintenance on it. There really hasn't been much that we've had to do with this car. Aside from the backup camera randomly deciding to fail, so we actually did have to take it into the dealer, and we had a full warranty on it, so we were able to get that serviced without any additional cost out of our pocket. So That rear camera was the only thing that has been an issue. Other than that, the car's been running just fine. Next, we have our 2022 Hyundai Sonata. We picked this car up back in the beginning of 2023. And the car has done fairly decent for us. It has been involved in a couple of incidents. One was a guest ran over a possum and messed up some of the underbody and the wheel well. We've since worked on getting that fixed. And then we also had to replace a lot of the interior panels. I will leave a link to that video so you can go and check that one out, but we had to replace all the interior parts. That was around the time that I was very sick with pneumonia, but we managed to get the car done. There was a lot of damage for interior parts, and I was pretty shocked at what the price tag on that was. So if you want to check that video out, make sure and go pull that video up and watch that after this one. Next on the list is our 2019 Jeep Renegade. This is another car that everybody likes to find a lot of fun to drive. It's got the removable panels on the top, and it's basically just a fun, daily runner vehicle. This car does have a lot of Fiat parts, which causes a lot of issues. And I've also discovered one of the things that we had to do to fix this car is actually an issue that was not isolated to this car. We had to replace all of the top seals of the windows because they were starting to rip. And I actually found a Renegade one day in the airport parking lot, and when I went to walk by it and take a look at it, it had the exact same problems that our Jeep had. So I know that that one is not isolated. We've had to replace those. We had to replace the turn signal marker because it got cracked. We've replaced the windshield on this car. We've just had a whole bunch of litany of issues with this particular car, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart as far as if you were driving this car daily. It can run into a lot of electrical gremlins, things like that. But this car, for the most part, has been running pretty well, aside from some small fixes we've had to do here and there. Next on our list, we have our 2022 Subaru Crosstrek, and that car is a lot of fun to drive. I've had nothing but good feedback on that car. The only thing that people have ever said about that car is it does sound weak when it starts. And when I've looked at other Subarus and I've listened to how they start, they have a very similar crank. They just kind of have this tired sound to them, but they're perfectly fine. I've tested the battery, no issues with the battery whatsoever. So that part is a little bit weird, but outside of that, the car drives really nice. It's got nice technology in it. Very fun car to get into and just take a road trip with. As we speak, the car is currently out on a 1-month rental, so it's gonna be gone for a little while before we get it back. But definitely a fun car for people to drive when they're looking for something that is a little bit more on the sporty side, but also sort of practical and being able to haul items in it. Next on our list is the 2022 Toyota Camry. That is the newest car we've had on our fleet. We've had that one for about 4 months now, and that car has done pretty well, aside from the one accident that it went through on trip number 2. It did get hit in the driver's side quarter panel towards the back near the rear bumper. It was hit while it was parked, and so we were able to get that car sent over to the collision shop. They took care of it. It took a little less than a month, and the insurance company of the driver that hit us was able to pay us for diminished value as well as loss of rental use. So that actually was really nice, because even though the car was gone, I was still able to be paid for the days that the car was not out on a rental. So definitely a big benefit there. Outside of that one accident, we did have somebody rate this car on like its 3rd or 4th trip 4 stars. And when I asked them what was wrong, they said the maintenance required light came on and it was annoying. I was pretty sad about that, because that's such a minor thing to rate 4 stars on, and I didn't even know that the light was on, so I could have helped them work through getting that message to go away. But nonetheless, it's okay. Everybody's allowed to rate what they want to rate, but those are the kinds of ones that I'm like, I wish I could have had that one back, because I could have made that a 5-star experience. Next on our list is the 2014 Toyota Corolla, and that car honestly has been kind of a silent gem for us. It's been doing very well consistently month after month, and for being a 10-year-old car, people know what they're getting with it. They know they're getting a Toyota, they know they're getting reliability, and the car starts, drives, does everything that they need it to do, and they are content with it. I could maybe upgrade the system and put Apple CarPlay or Android Auto into the car. They have a lot of these systems you can put in there for super cheap, but a lot of these systems are made from China and they are very clunky as far as the tech and being able to get everything connected. It's not as seamless as having like a factory radio. So if you wanted to get something like a JVC, or you wanted to get something like one of those other aftermarket systems that you can just remove the factory radio and put it in and it works, you're still looking in the $300 to $400 range. And the question then becomes, is it even worth it for me to do something like that? Or can I just leave it as it is and say, hey, if you have Bluetooth, you can connect the car via Bluetooth and the car is going to be great? Or do I offer something more? For right now, I think I'm going to keep it the way it is because I'm pretty happy with its performance. The guests that do rent that car are happy with the way the car drives, so I can't really ask for much more than that. I'm pretty happy with that car. Next is our 2020 Toyota Corolla. This was our third car that we added to the fleet at the time before when we were starting to expand. And that car, as of this video, is at 130 trips. And it's still doing really well. We just put 4 new tires on it. We haven't had to do anything other than I did replace the front brakes because when you tapped on it at a high speed, the steering wheel did shake around a little bit. And so I knew when I took everything off that there was still going to be a lot of pad wear left. And sure enough, there was a lot of brake pad that was left on the car when I took it off. But really, I mean, from my experience, if you're not going to replace the rotors and the pads at the same time, it's kind of still going to have that rattle because the rotors may be just slightly off. So I just decided I'm going to pay the money and just have everything replaced at the same time, and that car drives perfectly fine now. It was involved in that one accident where it had been hit. I mentioned that in the previous fleet update video, but there haven't been any long-term effects from that. Next on our list is our 2022 Toyota Corolla, and that car is one of the newer ones that we got for the fleet, and that one has been doing pretty well as also. That one we bought last year, and it does pretty well. It's a Toyota, it's a Corolla. People know what they're getting when they get that kind of car. That one is a little bit more stylish than the 2020. So if you wanted something with nice wheels and you wanted it to look a little bit more presentable, then that car is a little bit more up your alley. But either way, that car also does pretty well. Has been on, as of right now, 28 trips. And that's since last year. So it is also doing really well. We have 2 cars left. We have our 2019 Toyota RAV4 LE, and that car is probably one of the most sought after cars of our fleet. I definitely want to get more RAV4s because I think the utilization is very high. As of right now, for the month of April, that car only has about 4 full days total where it's not being rented. So it is constantly being picked up. It's a reasonable rate, and I am very happy with the performance of this car, so much so to the point that I would love to go find another one that has a little bit of a nice color to it that makes people drawn to it, but at the same time, they're going with the practicality of a Toyota and they know what they're getting. Now, this car was the one that the renter had put a bunch of E85 into and through a check engine light. We had to drain all the gas out and we had to put new gas in it because of the guests not realizing that this car was not a flex fuel, even though it says it everywhere, but you know, we're just gonna take that one with a grain of salt. It was fine. We got everything drained out and refueled, and the car is good to go again. So that is the RAV4 LE. The last car on our fleet is our Toyota RAV4 Adventure. And this car, as of this video, there was something pretty interesting that happened to it in the last trip that I can't really ascertain when it happened, but I do know that it did indeed happen. The car was egged, and it was hit in the roof, and it was also hit on the hood on the passenger side. The hood had a paint protective film that was on top of it, and so it protected the paint from the egg. However, it did not protect the paint protective film. So after we washed the car, there were a whole bunch of little weird imperfections in the paint protective film, so we had to remove all of the paint protective film. And if you've ever dealt with something like this before, I feel sorry. It was very bad. It took a long time to get all of the residue off the car and to get that car looking presentable again. And I spent hours yesterday taking all of that residue off from the paint protective film. The roof thankfully did not get affected too bad. We don't really know when this happened, but it definitely stresses the importance of looking at the car thoroughly at the end of a trip. I'm going to take full responsibility for it. I don't believe that this happened to the car at the airport parking lot. That's where we had picked it up from before I discovered that there were eggshells and egg yolk and all that stuff on the car. But definitely look at your cars if you are hosting on Turo. Look everywhere at the end of the trip and don't leave any stone unturned. If you find something that is damaged that was caused that wasn't there before you got there, then make sure that you are documenting it and make sure that you're talking to the guest about what the resolution is going to be as far as if you're pursuing damages or if the guest is going to pay for something. I checked out the car on Sunday evening. I was going quick, it was nighttime, it was also Easter, so I was trying to get back home to my family, and then by the time I spotted it on Monday, we were past the 24-hour mark for me to report any damage. So I take full responsibility for that and I have to live with it. And that's okay. We got the car back on the road. There was no harm done, but there was definitely a lot of labor involved that I'm not going to ultimately get compensated for. So now that you know the whole fleet, what is next for us? Now, I've talked about this a few times on our videos before, but we have a lot of new subscribers and I wanted to gain your interest if you are looking to do something like this. We are currently pursuing people who have extra vehicles and they want to take a chance on us here in Jacksonville and be able to give us their cars to host here in the area. We have a proven track record, we have a proven process, and we are ready to help you make money. We have everything from compact cars to SUVs to minivans, and we choose those very wisely as far as what is going to work for the fleet. So if you come to us and you say, hey, this is the car that I have, I'm gonna be honest with you and let you know what I think. I'm not going to be telling you that this is going to make you money or, hey, yeah, just hand it over to me. I can help you make money in your sleep. I'm not trying to get everybody and anybody. I do want you to come and join our family and be able to make money off of this business. But at the same time, I do want to be real and practical with you and let you know what I think this car will do for you as far as your profit and loss. I can't give you false promises. I can't give you false hope. And at the same time, I also want to be able to give you back your car when you say, hey, the time is done, I want my car back. I want to be able to give it to you in the same way that you received it, knowing that obviously some wear and tear is going to come into play, but I don't want the wrong clientele or anybody that can abuse a car abuse it. So if you're interested in doing this, send me an email. I have my email in the description. Let me know what you think and let me know what kind of car you have if you want to get into this. If you are currently hosting on Turo and you are struggling and you need help, send me an email as well. I would love to talk to you about what that looks like for you as well. With that being said, that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this content, please give it a big thumbs up and consider subscribing. If you are enjoying following the business, again, those of you that took a chance on me, thank you so much for doing so. I really, really appreciate it. We are so close to 500 subscribers where we can get memberships, and I aim to do a whole bunch of fun things for those that sign up for memberships. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing if you enjoy following us and learning more about the business and about Turo. If you need to rent a car in Jacksonville, make sure you visit AchuRentals.com. We have everything from small compact cars. We still have the beautiful minivan ready to seat 7 passengers nice and comfortably. Thank you all again for watching, and I hope you have a great day.